Hello! I'm back. I survived the battle of the Coverstitch. Did you guys? It was an epic tale of heartache and woe. But I'm kind of at an impasse with it, so we'll see. I've never had so much trouble. I mean, obviously I've had trouble with machines before, but I've never had trouble with this with my machine. So I brought it in and he didn't have any issues with it. So it's definitely me, which always feels so amazing, doesn't it? Hi Jan, hi Megan. Well, when I brought it back, I was like, all right, machine, let's do this. And I was having like mixed results. Operator error, absolutely. So what I did was I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make my shark shirt. I'm going to put it back to Serger and see, right? Hi, Claire. Good to see you, too. Hello, everyone. It's really great to see you. Hi, Elaine. So I serged I made my shark shirt yesterday, switched it to Coverstitch, and it worked great. So I feel like that was a good plan, like just being like, you know what? Abandon the Coverstitch for now. You might have something wiggled out of place or something. You know, I did transport it back and forth. All kinds of things can happen. Then I meticulously read the manual, and I'm really pleased to say I did everything identical to the manual. The only thing that is different is that they told me to put the tension of my chain looper, which is the under thread of the Coverstitch, to a certain setting just to make it easier to thread. I did that and I just left it there. I also noticed today that I have a setting that's Coverstitch or Serging, right? Let's see, Coverstitch or chain stitch. And it can rotate past the Coverstitch, which is like the end of the dial. And so I did that and it actually relaxed the underneath. So maybe the gold marking on my dial, or my dial is misaligned right now to notch on the machine. Yeah, right, Louise? Right, yeah. Yeah, Jan, I mean, obviously, right, it's good. I couldn't sit there and meticulously go over the manual with you guys because that would have just been too much and too boring, even for me. So I feel pretty good about it right now. I'm finding little things that set it up to succeed better. So we'll see. My machine was never touchy like this, though. And it's the reason why I like having a good machine, because I really need to rely on it. I'm not going to spend hours fiddling with it every time. I'm sorry, that's not okay. You would never do that with your car, right? Maybe when you're younger, you know. Hi, Petey. How's it going? Hello, Malin. Hi, World Peas. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of you here to watch me with my battle today, aren't you? But I do love how my shark shirt came out. I know the print's a little busy for the camera, but this is the shirt that I made using the Moneda dress top. Hi, Raquel. How's it going? And I really like it, you know? And I'm wearing it with the Deer and Doe Azara. Heather, I just saw you comment on YouTube. I have my phone up because my daughter gets home from school. And you commented in the comment section. There's a chat section. Then you can say, hello. So I'm streaming live on Twitch and YouTube. And so just so you guys know that sometimes I talk to people in either chat and you might not see their chat messages. They may not see yours. So, hello, Damson. How's it going? Hi, Ida. Hi. And my name is Sarami, and this is So Live, where you hang out and sew with me, or watch me sew, or watch me fail, watch me seam rip, because, you know, I love to seam rip. I don't know why everyone's so nervous about it. And yeah, this week we're tackling knits because I got my machine back from a tune-up, just a regular old tune-up, and now I'm having some trouble with my Coverstitch. They didn't do anything wrong to my machine. I'm not saying that at all. It was a little touchy before with the Coverstitch, and that's why I was like, you know what, time for a tune-up, because I'm really shy about tune-ups. I don't like them having my machine for weeks on end. Hi, Jill. I didn't see your hi up there. You guys are saying hello, hello, hello. I know, Megan, it's great. And you know, someone commented on Instagram that there's a woven version and she made an alder shirt dress out of it. That's pretty epic. Even my husband was like, oh, it's pretty cute. So yeah, we are making Linden sweatshirts today. I'm gonna go for one, and then if everything goes smooth, I'll make my second one with the pocket. But right now we're gonna finish up the hems on the Moneda because I didn't get to that yesterday. I really had some trouble with it. And let's just hope that it works. If it doesn't, I'm gonna set aside the cover stitch and just go right into the lindens, because the lindens are primarily serged. You can even sew an entire linden. Yeah, Heather, you're still in the comment section. So there's a chat section. And I can't show you because it won't show me the same window as you because I'm the content creator. It's really weird. But you can see there's a bunch of people chatting, and it's like it's probably minimized to the right of your screen. Usually it's on the right hand side. I can't remember how it looks on YouTube. I'm really sorry. On playbacks it's below, and I always miss the chat comments section when I'm watching a playback of a live stream. So, all right. So let's see here. I'm doing Eileen's little tip of always starting with my needles down just to eliminate all possibilities. It has a bubble box, Megan says, Heather. A bubble box. What does that mean? All right, so I just noticed my thread had broken here, so let's just, do a little test. So usually when you do cover stitch, you do start in the middle of the fabric. So that's why I'm not starting at the end. The end kind of gives me trouble when I do that. Below on the, Claire says, the chat window is below on the left. Working good. Minimize the view and chat box can be seen, Jan says. It's kind of ridiculous how tricky YouTube is to operate. I mean, come on. Why can't they make it easier? Raquel says hers is beside the picture on the right. It also says live chat, A Maker's Saga. Hello, A Maker's Saga. I like that. I like that username. I feel like I'm having my own personal saga with my cover stitch the last couple days. I mean, isn't the technical like definition of a saga like a really long tale, you know, with like all kinds of trials and tribulations involved? All right, so man, I just want to beat this dress into submission right now, so let's just do it so I can move on to the linden, because I'm actually kind of nervous today, and I don't really like being nervous. So let's see, am I gonna start with the sleeve? Really, it's so small. Yeah, I'm gonna start with the sleeve, because, you know, like, here's my backup plan. If I ruin the sleeve, I can make it shorter. Right? You gotta have backup plans. That's how I get myself through when I'm worried about something. So, you know, I didn't tell you one of my biggest tips on sewing this, on serging yesterday. I can't believe I didn't tell you guys this. So, and I don't think I did it, so I'm going to do it on the linden, but one of my biggest tips with serging is sometimes it's really hard to tell the front and the back of a garment, especially in serged garments, because knits typically aren't as form-fitting, right? So it's kind of hard to tell the difference between your front and the back. There's not an obvious bust dart or shaping like that, or collar definitions and things like that. Thanks, Claire. And so, like, especially if you're doing like t-shirts and sweatshirts and even the Moneda, the front and the back are really hard to discern. So one tip I always do is when I'm serging, I always put the front of the garment, like you're on the inside, right? You're sewing on the wrong side, right sides together. So the wrong side of the fabric is facing, but I put the front and I put that face up through my serger. so that the right side of the stitching lands on the front side of the garment, so that when I go to serge seams, like when I get to sleeve seam junctures, I can tell just by looking at it, oh, this is the front. And then I can push the seam allowance towards the back, because there's like a wrong side and a right side to your serging stitching. And it may take, like if you're kind of new to serging, it might take a little bit of just getting familiar with it to kind of notice it. Honestly, it doesn't matter which is the right or the wrong side of the serging stitching. Just pick one of them as the one that you want to show on the inside of the garment when your seam is pressed towards the back. And then that way you're not sitting there going, wait, which one's the front, which one's the back? Am I pressing the seam towards the back? Because I did that yesterday a bunch, and I can't believe not one of those times did I remember that I really like doing it this way. And I go over this really well in the video I have on sewing a t-shirt like this. So yeah, I know, Janet, it's just like a little tip that I kind of developed it based on a few things I've learned working in the garment industry. And I had one employer very particular about how the seams looked on the inside. And that's kind of what gave me the idea. She always really liked the stitching to look nice when the seam was pressed the direction it was going to finally lay. And so I just kind of took it one step further, or just a different direction, and used that to go, okay, now I always know that this is the front of the garment. And really, I like it just using it as a tool to know which way the seams get pressed without pulling apart the garment and going like, which one's the front, which one's the back, you know? You can just kind of tell. So that would mean, you know, you would serge your bodice, you know, side seam up from the bottom on one side and down from the armhole on the other. So yeah, Heather, you're still in the comments section. I wonder what's going on with your YouTube. You might close the window and try it again. YouTube is kind of a tricky beast. We all know it, don't we? All right, so anyway, I can't really trust that I did that on this because I didn't think about it one time yesterday. So right now what I'm looking at is the fact that I actually have my tag tacked to the back neckline. So I'm like, all right, that's the back. And it is kind of working out that that is the same here. So I'm going to turn my sleeve, and my sleeve had a hem shape. And look, my stitching's starting to come out right here on the edge of the seam there. So I'm going to try and handle that as little as possible. This should kind of want to fold where that hem shape is kind of naturally, because that's why they put it in there, so that it wouldn't have to stretch when it went on. And I'm going to sew it from the inside of the sleeve like this. You kind of have to do this with sergers. Sergers, I've seen sergers with free arms, but I can pretty much guarantee your serger doesn't have a free arm. I mean, some of them do. I'm not going to start right on top of that seam. I think I'm going to start right behind it. I'm a little nervous about the seam because I feel like that's going to trigger the thread breaking. But I feel like if I just start off with it, I'll have better luck. Why is my tail so long here? So I'm going to just pull those apart a little bit so I can get my garment under there. And so when you're cover stitching, you're always doing it from the right side of the garment, and your needles are going to cover the cut edge and into the hem a little bit. So hopefully what you're doing is you're feeling the cut edge of the fabric, and your left needle is lined up with this cut edge right here, and hopefully you're getting it spot on to where that cut edge is, you know, butts up against the needle, and then the second needle's right here, and the stitching on the underside straddles it. Your stitching might, I mean, your edge might poke out, like see, like right here. See my edge poked out a little bit right here. I was so nervous about my cover stitch yesterday that I admit I wasn't really 100% focused on getting it really accurate. I was more like, is it breaking? Is it okay? Like, you know, it's just like when you kind of get scarred from having issues with something. But that is your goal with cover stitch. And you can trim that afterward, that little extra, but it isn't quite the same as if you capture that edge inside the looper. So, all right, so I'm just gonna start it up. Oh, I meant to start with my needles down. I like that tip. Anything that makes me feel like I'm gonna succeed. When I get to this thickness of my underarm, I'm gonna kind of baby it and walk it through, at least on my machine. Other machines might not have this issue. I'm feeling my cut edge right there, trying to keep it lined up with the needle. And you'll see I'm kind of pulling my sleeve cuff really far to the front so that I have a nice flat runway leading up to my stitching. You want to be really careful stretching your garment. So someday I'm going to show you the technique of attaching elastic to a waistband. When you stretch the elastic and you know, like say it's a pair of pants and the pants lay flat and the elastic gets stretched to the pants. It's my favorite way to have elastic on a waistband because it never rolls and it just feels really secure and it's really easy to sew. But you don't want to stretch your elastic when the needles are in the elastic, right? Because you could pop the needle. No, I didn't, Malin. Press meaning iron? No. I bet I so lost analog. Right? You know, Beverly, I almost bought one myself. I am kind of thinking about it now. If I continue to have issues, I'll probably sell this one and get a couple of different machines instead. I'm going to get rid of these threads right here. This is my beginning spot. The white you're seeing is the printing kind of stretching out. So I did pretty good, but look, at my machine's a little messy when it gets right up to this thickness here. So let's see here. So I've met with my beginning spot. And I'm going to line up my needles with that and kind of sew past where I began. There's no back stitch on a cover stitch, so it's the only way you can really secure it is if you kind of line up your stitches and get in there. And now I need to get my work out of the machine, right? So I'm going to pull up, push my work out of the way, and then sew off. Is the way I do it. I did catch my work. Did I catch my work? It could just be that the threads are tight right there. Like that. So there we go. This could look a lot better. Partly it's there's so much ink on this fabric that when you pull it apart or your needle punctures it, you're seeing the white behind of the non-printed. So yeah, that could look a little better, but it actually looks really good. It just looks, the printing is making it look a little bit shabby. Here you go. I did pretty good. I fell off right here, but my stitch isn't looking that, it's looking a little bit okay. I'm not actually looking at machines quite yet. I have been overall really happy with this machine, but like I kind of said yesterday, when I bought this machine, I was doing pattern drafting freelance, and I did that for 11 years for anyone who needed it that was trying to get a garment into the garment industry or really, really established companies. It was kind of the gambit of startups to people that are like, our pattern drafting crew can't handle all of our designs this season, can you help us out? Or people that are like, hey, you have specialized experience in this thing that we're doing and none of us here have that, can you help us out? So it was like this crazy gambit of stuff, right? But then I also had a lot of knits people. I had a pretty strong knit background when I was in the garment industry. So I did a lot of prototyping, and so I was like, I absolutely need a machine that does cover stitch. What they never told me was that I could have gotten a standalone cover stitch machine for $400, and then a serger that did 4 and 5 thread. All I wanted was a serger that went up to a 5 thread with safety, which is like the serging. It's like the serging like this, but with a safety stitch about a small 1/8 of an inch away from it. You guys know what that looks like. A lot of your knits will have that if you look inside. This is a 4 thread that it has a safety built into it. I just like it because it's narrow for these patterns that have 3/8 inch seam allowances. But if you're doing something with 1/2 inch or you're doing a better wear garment, you're going to want the safety and then the serging, and then you would use that more typically with wovens as well. So it depends on if you think you're going to get a lot of use out of the cover stitch. 4 and 5 thread, it's just the width. There is differences. I'm very much simplifying that, Louise. But if you have a serger, I would look in your book, and because if it does both, you can kind of see visually the difference. But I like this is a 4 thread, and then I can do a 5 thread with a safety. Let me see. I can actually, let's look at my book. I think my book is close to the page. Oh, it doesn't show you the, let's see if I can find an example of the stitches. I just knew what I was looking for, and the reason I wanted those things isn't because they're more proper. It's because I really needed my prototypes to look exactly like they would, as close as possible to how they would look if they were sewn in a factory. Because when someone takes the pattern that I develop and they take it with the prototype and they hand it to the factory is going to imitate it precisely. You cannot say, you can try, but you can't say, oh, do this, all this, except I want this pocket 1/2 inch to the right. The sewers on the floor never see that, and they never see the pattern, they never see any of that. They kind of go by the sample sometimes. It just depends on the factory. So you have to be really specific. And I knew that my clients, a lot of them, weren't going to have anything sewn in between my prototype and walking into that factory. And so I had to set them up to succeed, because it also made me look good, right? And it became a thing. Like, a lot of factories would accept my clients because they knew my patterns worked and my prototypes reflected what the pattern looked like. So, like, marketing starts at the beginning, you guys, and it never stops. You gotta do it the way you want it, how you want to look. Let's see if I can find an example in this book. You can probably Google it faster than me finding it. Let's see. Let's see here. Okay, so mine does a 4 thread with a safety. And so you see how this safety right here has no line of stitching down the middle like mine does? So you can have the safety really far away or close, or really, really close like that. I don't like the way that looks. I like that. That's a little overkill, but if you had wovens, that is nice, because then it leaves a little bit of space if you had to take out that serging and let it out right there, right? So let's see if we have the 5 thread. Yeah, and 5 thread looks really similar. They're not showing you the underside of the stitching. They're only showing you the right side of the stitching. So 4 thread and 5 thread. And this is with the safety stitch. This is the safety stitch, and this is the, was I calling this the safety stitch? I'm sorry. This is not the safety stitch. This is the safety stitch. The safety stitch is essentially the seam. Sorry, I was calling it that. That's just your overlock or your serging. Your finishing edge. Lots of ways to call that. No idea why there's lots of ways to call serging and overlock. I've never learned. I've asked everybody, what's the difference between serging and overlocking? Nobody knows. I'm sure someone has some opinions that sound really well reasoned, and we can grab onto those if we wanted, So I knew that I wanted my machine to have a 5 thread safety option, and the cover stitch. I could have gotten 2 machines for what I paid for this one, because by the time I left, I spent $2,500 on this machine, because I also got the warranty. So yeah. So anyway, I'm just procrastinating to do my other sleeve. That's all this is, you guys. That one went okay. So yeah, Malin, I didn't press my hem because you can kind of see this hem has this shape right here, and pressing knits often doesn't do anything. So see, this is the back right here, and I'm pressing this seam towards the back, but look, that's the wrong side of my stitching. So if I had stitched it the way I was telling you about earlier, I can just trust the way my stitching is, and I wouldn't have to do that. I completely forgot that. We'll try and remember to do it on the Linden. So I'm just gonna put this all the way around about the same. Because of that hem shape, it kind of wants to stay like that really nicely. See that? Hem shapes are really key. I always doubt a pattern that doesn't include them. They're setting me up to fail. Well, this one has the safety stitch, but it's kind of built in right here. It's not as nice as the one that I showed you with it parallel to the overlocking, because what the great thing about that safety stitch, you guys, is that could be it, Beverly. Maybe it's just a regional thing. The great thing about the safety stitch is that when you pull apart the seam, seams sewn with a safety stitch look nicer, in my opinion. All right, here we go. This time I'm starting in front of the seam. Now my cover stitch is set up to be about a fat eighth of an inch apart. You can make it a quarter, because the quarter looked really wide to us yesterday, at least to me. So I backed it off. I also thought maybe this is the key to my woe. All right, I'm approaching my seam here, so here we go. There is my start stop. I like to clip these threads before I get there so I don't immortalize them or have to pull them apart. Like, I just try and make it as easy as possible for myself in a few minutes when I'm done. Okay, so I raise up my needles, pull my work away as best I can. We'll pull it out a little bit more this time, and then I keep going. Like this. Now, in some cases, you will see that a company will backstitch right there. I've never had one come out. I did okay. But boy, my machine really hates these thicknesses. I'm just gonna get rid of the little like shape of the hem right there. But see, you can just trim this off. It's just not quite the same. I'm really sorry that my cover stitch doesn't look as good as it used to for you guys. It used to look so beautiful. Like just a couple of years ago, and I haven't sewn that many knits since then. So yeah, and you know, to be clear, you do not have to have a serger with a safety stitch in order to sew. But let me rephrase that though, so you don't get confused. Make sure, if you're buying a serger, make sure that you can sew a seam, even if it's doing the whole thing with the overlocking and all that together. Make sure that it can do a seam so that when you're pulling apart your garment like this on the seam right here, it looks good. Because if it's just the overcast stitch of the serger, it will pull apart right here. This is pretty good. I mean, it's a knit. You need to have a little bit stretchy, right? So, you know, there's some give in there. I'm not an expert on serging and stitches, you guys. But at the same time, you definitely want your serger to be able to sew a seam. Otherwise, what you're doing is you are creating another step for you, and you have to run it through a machine with a stretch stitch and then overcast the edges with the overlock or the serger, whatever we call it. So it doesn't have to be a safety stitch to the right of the serger. Just make sure, because a lot of sergers do it, that this can be a seam like mine. Mine is a seam with the overlock combined. I'm only using this narrow one because the seam allowance on this pattern is 3/8 of an inch. Right? I know, Beverly. I brought in my stuff. So, yeah. So I hope that's clear. If you guys are still in the market for a serger, you don't have to have one with the cover stitch. It's just a really nice touch, and you'll probably, if you really get into knit sewing, you're probably going to want something like that, just so you know. All right, so we got our sleeves done. let's do the neckline and then we'll do the hem and then we will move on to Linden's, which I'm kind of excited about. All right. So this is where we gave up yesterday. And so there is just a, pretty sure a 3/8 inch turn back. And you want to make sure that you're not trying to turn back too much all at once, like length of your neckline, because what will happen, especially on these curves, so see if I try and hold this here that far away, what can happen is this will start folding up narrower than the before and the after, because this is the curve, and you'll come along and you'll miss it. You'll sew here and this will be left flapping around. It'll look fine on the outside, but you'll have this piece of neckline that didn't get caught in there. So this is kind of like a little bit of a knack that even I'm like, ee! Every time. So I try and I look underneath and I just make sure that, all right, one of my needles is still hitting that thing. Hopefully both. But you know knits, and I just try and keep it relaxed and then fold it as evenly as possible as I go around. And you'll see me glancing up occasionally. It's because I'm making sure both of my threads off my left spools are drawing off, so I can tell that one of the threads hasn't broken. That's the easiest way for me to see it. Alright, so I'm approaching my label. Hopefully there's no issues. My thread broke yesterday before the label. Let's get rid of this little thread right here. This is where I tacked the label on so I wouldn't forget the darn thing for the millionth time. Oh, and I want to tell you guys a little tip. I obviously bought myself these kind of nifty labels, but if you don't have that, I highly recommend just get a little piece of ribbon and stick it in the hem there so you can tell your front from your back. Even if it's a little piece of fabric, anything, just anything back there. A stitch, something. Because you need the separate, okay wait, I read somewhere that only the convertible overlock covers machine can actually do a separate safe stitch and the serge edge at the same time. Ah, interesting. Yeah, that's probably true. And like I said, my machine has this capability to do like 9 spools of thread and something called a wave stitch, and you guys, I don't need that. I was kind of like, I'm not interested in that. Just want cover stitch and the safety. And I wanted a very reliable machine. And I think I just heard recently that this used to be the top of the line of the Baby Lock, which I had no idea. And they have ones better than this now. Because they were asking me at the store, is that like the such and such? And I had no idea. I'm always surprised. People really think a lot of my abilities, and they think I know all the machines. I really don't. I think you'd have to work in a store that sold machines to really remember all the different things. And on top of that, you'd probably mostly be familiar with only the brands that your store carried, you know? There's so many options. I can't believe how many options there are. And just so you know, I am going really slow. I used to just kind of crank these out, but I'm really nervous, so it's going good so far. I gave the Sewing Fairy a Pop-Tart today because I wasn't messing around. All right, I'm getting close to my start-stop here. I mean, it looks pretty good on this side. I'm getting that tunneling. Ooh, I got it really bad at the beginning there. Look at that. Nancy. Is Nancy here? Nancy has this issue. I got it to calm down by loosening my looper, which is the under thread tension. And now it's kind of coming back. So what I'm going to kind of do is pull my fabric really gently without decreasing the width of the fold of the hem, just to hope to kind of counter that tunneling I'm getting. You shouldn't have to do that. I keep getting phone calls. there we go. Nice narrow hem. All right, so let's see here. Well, at least we're prevailing on this. See how I did? A little wiggly right there. A little wiggly. It's kind of a lot wiggly. It looks pretty good on this side. Missed it right there. See that? So now you have two options here. Because my machine is so finicky, I am not going to take a chance and take apart this section and redo it because it's near the seam. I'm probably going to do some doctoring with my home machine, or it was a brown sugar Pop-Tart. How did you know that? I stole it from my daughter. Told her I borrowed it. The outside is what counts, exactly. I mean, I may do some hand stitches. It's kind of unfortunate. It's not acceptable at all. But like I said, I'm a little like spooked still. Pop-Tart wasn't enough. Maybe because it was an off-brand Pop-Tart. All right, so here's my back. Here's my back. We'll start across the back first. Push the seam. It doesn't really matter if I'm pushing the seam quite yet because, oops, I'm actually gonna sew this from the right side, so I gotta start from this side seam here. So what are you guys doing today? Tell me something, you know, distract me. And if you're new here, I've been noticing a bunch of new subscribers lately, maybe because it's my 1 year anniversary, maybe it's the Love to Sew podcast, so welcome. We love having you. Hello, Allison. Yeah, you like my sharks? Wonder where I got this fabric from. And you want to chat in the stream, just if you're in YouTube, you need to create something called a channel. It's just their name for an account. Working on payroll taxes, that's no fun. I mean, I guess getting it done is important. You're sewing a pair of pants with a vintage pattern, Jan? Ooh. You're knitting that stone crop cardigan? Nice. What? You're eating coffee ice cream? Raquel, what time is it there? I want coffee ice cream. You just baked brownie. I need to bake some cookies. I love to bake. I don't bake very much though. Oh, this is really wide right here. Oops. Oh. You're ordering fabric, Allison. You're working. You're having a meet the baby barbecue, Gina. Cute. Oh, it's 1:30, Raquel. Okay, you're off the hook. I mean, it's always time to eat coffee ice cream for our Hank. I used to be so good at getting my cover stitch lined up. I'm definitely slipping. Afternoon pick me up. You know what I love doing, Raquel? We have an espresso machine to make our coffee, and I love putting a shot of espresso over a scoop of ice cream. It's called an affogato. So good. You're chilling with the house bunny. Oh, you guys, Allison said the bird fabric that was in the butterfly blouse that I made for hearts is back in stock. You eat peanut butter ice cream for breakfast? Oh, Megan, I had a question for you. You said that you got a pattern that was similar to this, right? What pattern was that? I'm kind of curious. I love chocolate and peanut butter ice cream is one of my favorites. And mint chip, those are my favorites. Okay, so I've kind of lost track if I'm on the front or the back now. So this is the front of the dress, so we're going to press this seam towards the back. Like this. It's worth a try, right? What pattern was that, Megan? Someone was asking about a shirt. All right, here I come to my, I'm gonna release that. Didn't really release it very much, did it? It came right back. I have to reach through my industrial machine right here to get to the the hand wheel. My favorite kind of cookies are peanut butter cookies, like, but really peanut buttery. Like, really peanut buttery. And most, like, when you go to buy a peanut butter cookie, I can tell they use oil and not butter or something, or they're not using, like, 100% peanut butter. I don't know. It's never the same. The best is just the Joy of Cooking recipe. Oh, new look 6533. I'm going to write that down. Where am I going to write that down at? Right here. Thank you. And I'm not talking the new edition of Joy of Cooking. There's like, do any of you guys have the Joy of Cooking? It's kind of like a staple book as far as I'm concerned. I have tons of cookbooks, but that's been one of my favorites for like classic American recipes, especially the naughtier ones, you know. And then they revamped it to be healthier in like the 90s, I think. So you have to kind of, I have two on hand. I have one that's more recent of an update. They revise it all the time. And then I have one that's from the 60s or 70s. Like, it literally doesn't have the cover on it anymore. But like my scone recipe, my gingerbread house recipe, my peanut butter cookie recipe, all from that one. I don't even hardly use the new one. Oh, awesome, Damson. Congratulations. Oh, thanks, Megan. All right, here we go. Last little bit here. Let's clean up these threads. Get rid of these. I feel like my hem was horribly off the edge, but I made it through. I have to do those few stitches to kind of release it. That's all. That's the only reason I do that. You might not have to. Yeah, my machine's just not like doing what I loved how it did before. I'll clean this up before I hand it off to Honey Run Quilters, who gave me this fabric for the stream. All right, so our Moneda is done. Pretty cute. We got pockets. Is there really joy in cooking? You know, I use that book mostly for baking, so I should probably call it The Joy of Baking. But I have some really good baking books, so cool. All right. My husband does most of the cooking. I'm really lucky. Oh, yeah. You know, Megan, I think I've done that a couple times. Oh, the Jimmy, a French pattern by Ready to Sew. I don't know that one. It's a little difficult to sew. That's a bummer. You need a dish fairy. I actually like doing the dishes. Such an unpopular sentiment, isn't it? Certain things I don't like. Like, my husband works somewhere called Clean Canteen. I don't have one sitting here, but some of you I'm sure have heard of it. They do the vacuum insulated stainless steel, you know, drinking like mugs and cups and things like that. And we have so many of those, and they're hand washed and all the lids and everything. And sometimes my daughter will just keep using them but not bringing them back, and then all of a sudden there's like 6 sitting there, and a couple of them may not have just had water in them, and I'm like, nope, not cleaning that, you know. So your Joy of Cooking, yeah, it's a great reference. I think mine's 1975 too, but I bought it at a used bookstore because I was 4 years old then. And loading the monster. Our dishwasher right now literally sounds like a dinosaur when we open and close the door, because it's so hot here that I think the hinges get dried out. So the Oshi Glows cookbooks, I've never heard of those. That's cute. My favorites are, some of my favorites that I use over and over and over are by Moosewood. And even if you're not vegetarian, their Simple Suppers book for like meals in 30 minutes complete from start to finish are so good. I love that book. So many good things in there. And I like their classic one. Oh, as a very basic teacher pattern. See, my glasses keep getting hooked on my hair. That's so annoying. Okay, so now we're going to do the Linden. And this fabric also was given to us by Honey Run Quilters, which is awesome. And it's got the as is it Megan that says they look like Funko Pop toys with the little bobblehead unicorns. And I'm going to do this knit, rib knit sleeve contrast neckband and sleeve cups, right? But no waistband on these. So we're going to convert this. You know, actually what we'll do is I'm going to do all I have cover stitch wise is the body on this, I'm pretty sure. Right? Yeah. So let's do this a little backwards, because normally I would really like to sew the side seams of the body and then do my hem all in one. But I'm going to do it backwards. I'm going to do the front hem and the back hem. A lot of people do this anyway. And then maybe I'll top stitch the seam. So. Oh, is Oshi Glow's vegan cookbook? When I went to, I just went to Mendocino recently. And we stayed at a place that was dog friendly, so we could bring our dogs, which we've never done before. We were those people. And it was because our daughter was out of town, and we just spontaneously wanted to go away, and I was like, this would be kind of fun, let's take our dogs, you know. And the place ended up being vegan, and I had no idea. And they had this, like, you know, really high rated gourmet restaurant where we could bring the dogs like in a separate section. So there were other people with their dogs, and, you know, our dogs were going nuts while you're trying to have this fancy meal, you know, the mayhem. And they, the vegan menu, it was amazing. I'm not a big fan of seaweed, and they had a lot of local sea vegetables, which I'm not a big fan of, but there was still plenty on the menu. That's it. Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna pull my gray thread through here. You can still pull your threads through even on cover stitch. The trick is making sure that I have the left and the right. Like, this is my left thread and that's my right thread, which always makes me feel weird if they're reversed. There we go. Sort them out a little bit. It has the same tension disc for all three. Kind of funny. I love how Brooke is texting me right now. Why isn't she in the stream? So how's everyone's back to school going with kiddos? Ours is actually gone. This is like the smoothest start to a school year we've had in a really long time. Oh, I love hummus. I love hummus with really good tahini in it and not a lot of garlic. Okay, where's my sample fabric? This is sample fabric. This is sample fabric. I almost pulled my pattern pieces. All right, so let's see if this is sewing okay. Oh, right. I forgot about back to school night. Shoot. I hate that too. I wonder why we hate it. All right, so here is the front of the back. This is the back. Ooh, it's so soft. Look how soft that is. I kind of have to admit I'm liking this more and more. Like, I kind of liked it, but now I really like it. All right, so what's the hem on this? Just so I don't steer you guys astray. It looks really wide. Wait a minute. What's the hem? Was the hem really wide? Yeah, it is so easy to make hummus. Yeah, exactly. Just put it in the food processor. Oh, 1-inch hem. The illustration for the neckband is so interesting. It looks like a facing that's been stitched to the inside, but we know it's a neckband. All right, so let's fold back our 1-inch. I am doing this counter to the instructions, I'm pretty sure, because you usually would like to do your hem after doing your side seams. It's a nicer finish, it really is. Oh wow, Megan. And do you have to like rush to each class? Or are they not in separate, like, are they not in like hour-long, you know, like junior high or high school classes? My daughter's school's really different. It's independent study. So she goes Monday and Thursday, 9 to 11:30, and Wednesdays, 9 to 11. That's it. And then she has some independent classes she does at home. She's stoked. Oh, that was too thick. I broke a thread. Crap. I can't promise I won't cuss on the Coverstitch stream. I should have tried this on the fleece. My bad. Ah, thanks for donating, World Peas. That's nice of you. Thank you. It's awesome. Megan. Oh, you have two. Oh, yeah. I always feel for those parents. All right, let's see if I can get this going. Uh-oh. I'm not able to get this one going. Let's pull it out. Thanks, World Peas. That's really nice of you. It's my pleasure. I love it. I mean, I would really like it if my machine wasn't acting like this. Look, you can get it. Can you guys see that? That's a really good view. Right here. So my thread broke right here, but right here you can see that's the chain stitch. So you can actually do just a chain stitch. I don't know if I can get it. Let's see. Typically, if you pull this thread, if you find the right thread, it'll just like unravel like knitting. It might go from this way to this way though. I'm not sure. But that is what the chain stitch looks like. And you hardly ever get to see it. It's been such a fun month adding all these streams. I feel like in some ways it'll be great to get back to normal, doing like cutting on Wednesday and then streaming Thursday, Saturday for the sewing. But I'm really gonna miss seeing you guys like 5 days a week. I like that. That's the goal someday, right though? Like someday we'll be able to just do that if that's all I'm doing. We'll be able to sew more. Let's see here. can't see because of the fuzz. I don't want to cut my fabric. All right, and then I need to figure out how I'm going to get it to sew. What the heck? Let me get a piece of scrap of the fleece. I don't really have much left of it. It's not that it's, I mean, it's a little harrowing. I wouldn't say exhausting. I mean, it definitely takes a little more out of me in the afternoons, you know. Hi, Nancy. Aw. I know, isn't that nice? I would do this every day, but there's like, I mean, literally I can't afford to sew 5 garments a week, right? And I don't need 5 garments a week for sure. It does cut down on the time I have to do other things related to the stream, because I do a lot of things off camera, like ironing the fabric, pulling the pattern pieces. I kind of look it over, I look at the hashtag, I do all that kind of thing. I could do that on camera, but I don't know. I guess I look at it as if what I would want to see. Like, the second I started having issues with the cover stitch yesterday, if I were a viewer, I would have been like, oh, not watching that. And I would have come back when the streamer wasn't having issues with it. So the fact that some of you stuck around was pretty amazing to me. So, I mean, maybe it's just because I don't really want to watch the struggle. It would frustrate me, mainly because I'd feel terrible if they were going through that too. I don't mind it in gaming. Like, it's just part of the experience, you know? But yeah, I do a lot off camera. And then all of the graphics and thumbnails. I mean, I'm not a graphic artist and I'm not doing the greatest job, but I am making everything you see, like all those little graphics and things like that, just to kind of create cohesion and make it clean. The photography needs some work, but I also just try and keep it really why can't I thread my needle? I try and keep the photography not super polished. I know I'd probably draw a lot more people in if the photography was more polished, but I can't sustain that, so I've just got to grab who I can with the photographs I take, and it's just more realistic, right? I'm really trying to emulate real life sewing. I just happen to have a bit of skills and background to help. All right, I'm just gonna do one layer. Okay, start needles down. Oh, good. Thanks, Louise. Yeah. Yeah, I use a website called Canva. It makes it a lot easier for me. See, what I notice always, I don't know if you can see this, but the left needle is tighter than the right needle, and there's only one tension dial. You were on the edge of your seat? That's awesome. I mean, there's things like that I feel like I need to know how you're going to figure this out. Like, I definitely understand that. My boxes, or show mending days. What's my boxes? Oh, my needle sharp boxes. I don't have one left. Wait, I have 2 left. Oh, to video show you a really cool magnetic cutting mat and ruler and magnetic pattern weight. Ooh, interesting. Oh, you know what? That reminds me. Well, I would love to procrastinate doing this, but let me try and get this sorted out. But I got a new cutting mat yesterday. While I was this is the problem. When you're waiting for your serger to be looked at, all you're doing is walking around the fabric store looking at stuff you shouldn't buy. And I picked up a bunch of my stuff for the class I'm going to take on quilting. But one of the things I got was a rotating cutting mat. All right, let's see if I got this now. What are you hung up on? I broke both. That time it felt hung up on the underneath. Yeah, this is so annoying. You know, I don't get ragey, but this is like, this is about to make me ragey. I'm gonna re-thread these right here. Is this thread too lightweight? It's the same thread, but the fabric is much thicker. Oops. Ooh. Walk away and get a drink, right? I don't actually feel that mad. I mean, this is the deal, you guys. Like, even if I ended the stream because of this, which I'm not going to right now. I don't feel like I need to. This is what I would be doing. I would be sitting here doing this. Because sometimes I just need to know for sure what's happening. And I do understand a little bit some things that my machine's reacting to, but some of it I just don't know why. I really hate this split in my foot. I'm sure it's necessary, but I don't really like it. Yeah, I forgot about the pin cushion thing. I need to pull that pattern out. You mean the one for the cherry pie? This one? I need to pull that pattern out and see if I can simplify it. See, look how nice that looks. Because it's thicker. It's nice. Let's try. What I'm worried about is that it's going to want the continuous thing, not this starting on the end thing. You know? So maybe I'll try and start in the seam allowance, like right here. I'll sink the needles there. Ah. Oh, cool. We're pretty hardcore here. Absolutely. Well, and I think like a lot of videos out there really polished and show no issues at all. I've literally watched some of those videos and I was like, heck no, you didn't just pull that off. There's no way. Like, I know. And I feel like that's such a lie, you know? All right, here we go. Nope, I lost the thread. Let's see if I can just put this thread in here and kind of keep going from here, and then I can stitch that little section with my industrial, hopefully, to give it that look still. This happened to me with the Hearts Lucida dress, remember? Well, I didn't have as much trouble, but my machine was starting to act a little funny there, and I felt bad because it's their project. All right, we're okay now. It's wider than 1 inch though. It's so wide. Oops. Oh, that's right. This hem is kind of shaped. That's why it's not staying the way. Okay. So the hem on this pattern in the front has this ever so slight and gentle swoop in the front going up at the center front. And I've been trying to lay this straight and flat because I'm so concerned about everything else. So I'm kind of losing that curve, and don't lose the curve on yours if you're doing it. So that's awesome. Oh, good. I'm glad, you guys. Yeah, a few of you are really hardcore. Ah, Malin, that's a good, I should totally do that. You are right. Yeah, I should start with a piece of fabric butted up against it. In fact, I should have butted up the next one. Right? I don't know if I'm going to catch it now. Maybe I faked it out. It sounds like I'm sewing through kale. I don't know how else to describe it. Yes. Well, that looks pretty good. It's not very even on the inside. I'm really out of practice for that. And look at, there's the swoop I lost right there. So, fake it until it works. Well, that's what I see a lot in videos, and that's just not helpful. And then you'll see in the comments, it's so sad, you'll see in the comments, but wait, what did you do about this? Or how did you deal with that? And they don't reply. I don't understand when people don't reply. I try and reply to every single comment, even the ones that are a little bit snippy with me. I'm going to reply because I don't want them to feel frustrated. I'm also not a robot, right? So, I have the needles that I need for this machine, and it's a good question whether they're ballpoint or not. I have a feeling that it's just the same, like that they are, but they don't say it. See? This EL705 is the needle I need for this machine. They feel like they're ballpoint, but nothing on the package says they are. I don't have the original like paper thing. And a lot of times now, when you buy needles like that, they'll be in like a little clear plastic bag, Ziploc bag, and not with the cardboard on the back of it. So, I don't know. All right. We got our hems done, so I could go and serge my, or do my, what time is it? No. We're just going to sew this one. I may not get to the other Linden, but we can put it off and do it another day too. Okay, so we're going to convert this to the serger, so entertain me with a great story while I do that. Won't take me long. But I do have to switch out all the things. This, and then I'm going to pull all my threads out. I'm definitely not editing the videos, right? I do on my my uploaded ones, but I don't edit the video. The only time one time I edited it because I just took out a section of video because something happened. Like I said the wrong word, and then I caught myself, and so I just resaid that part, and then I just subtracted that part. That's it. Yeah, I don't have those kinds of skills or patience or time to sit there and edit videos. If I had an editor, it'd be great, but not yet, right? And I really want the live experience. As much as I know people would really like to have shorter videos uploaded with complete sew-throughs, I'm about creating the community, the support community for streaming for other sewists. I need to move my needles. Yeah, right? I totally agree with you, Malin. I feel like the Grainline, and same with Closet K's. I think those sketches are not my favorite. They don't show the garment. Awesome, Raquel. I'm glad. It's good to hear. It's different, you know. It's like when people join, they're like, okay, I didn't know it was going to be like this. This is pretty cool. And there's a lot of people that just want to like lurk and watch. That's totally fine too. Just putting, there's 5 slots for needles on my machine. The Serger ones go at the back. So I just put those in there. Jan just said, if anyone is trying to figure out the chat, she said, aha, I figured out the chat thing, I think. Where the setting bar is on the screen is a box with a window in it. Click on that and the chat will pop up. I think I know what you're talking about. It looks like a little, like maybe like a speech bubble or a little TV screen, I think. See, this is my little needle threader thing. Let's see if it works. Do I do this? I don't know how to do that thing. Yeah, it's hard because a lot of people work during the day, and so I think a lot of people are like, well, it must be nice to be at home sewing. and I feel your guys' pain, I really do. Yeah. My thread carriage thing, that's why I keep looking at it, because where the thread goes, it says what needle it goes to. You see that? Chain needle 2, overlock needle 2. I like that also because it kind of encourages learning the names of things, so that when you're trying to describe something to someone, you are calling it the same thing, you know? Yeah, a little TV screen. Yeah. I've seen that too. I don't know how many times I've Googled on my iPad, like on some iPads you can have, like, say you're watching a video or stream or something, but you want to work on a document or surf the internet or whatever at the same time you're doing that. You can now do kind of a Windows type of thing on an iPad where you can have the a video playing in the corner of what you're looking at. You could never do that before on an Apple device, right? That's a very much a Windows technology. But I freaking have to Google how to do that every single time, and that's all it is. It's a little TV screen in the corner. I'm starting to remember now. Okay, I got my needles in there. Put that away. Upper looper, lower looper. I even looked at the all of the threading instructions. Wait a minute. We gotta release all that. There we go. I had to put my knife back up and the looper back up. Almost done. Can't just pull your threads through when you're going from cover stitch to Serger. You always listen when you go home. That's great. Yeah, that's true, Raquel. And you can fast forward through all the chit chat, you know, and pause and rewind. That is really what's great. And sometimes people are bringing up such great things because, like, I'm trying to transfer my skills into a home sewing world. And so I really appreciate all the tips you guys give me, like, you know, the tip about threading the eye of the bobbin case on a Bernina for doing buttonholes. Like, that's great. I don't know that. You know, I came to this from the garment industry, so it's a little different. And while I would like to do more home sewing techniques and stuff, on the other hand, I kind of want to remain true to why I feel like you don't have to do some of those things works as well, because it encourages you to get through a project a little bit faster using some of the industry techniques. But some of those home sewing techniques are just so invaluable for the finish. You've spent all this time and energy and money. Why you don't really want a factory look, right? You want it to look good. So it doesn't matter what kind of look you want. You just want it to look good. All right, so I think we're set. Let's see here. All right, let's see here. See how I did. Did I undo this thing? No. That's the thing I like. If I don't, it makes a really terrible noise. It doesn't hurt the machine. It just sounds terrible. Let's see what 2 layers looks like. I'm just dealing with my tension right now, so 2 layers will be more accurate. I really hate how there's a gap right there. So right now, what I'm doing is refining. So can you see the threads kind of loose right here on the edge? And then when I switched my tension, it tightened it up right here. You see that? This is what you're kind of going for. It's a little tight, but it's better than this because when it's loose like this, and it's just different for every thickness of fabric. Hi, Kara. How's it going? You listening? Oh, well, have a good day at work. Thanks for letting us join you on your commute. I don't like those little loopy edge, because it can catch on things. Let's see how the seam looks. It's going to be hard to tell on this fleece. Let's do a piece that's right sides together and look at the seam. It's a little bit separate. See that? So the safety would probably be nice for that. All right, let's put that away. Let's put this together, which should go really quickly, hopefully. Yeah, totally, Jan. You know, it's funny, I was playing game last night, and I haven't been playing very much lately. Just mainly, I honestly think, this sounds kind of cheesy. Hi, Lisa. You have those loops. Yeah, Nancy, I know. Which tension? You know what? My tension is literally, it says A, B, C, D. I'll show you. It's this, let's see if I can show you. It's this right here. Can you see that right here? That's it. It's kind of, in a way, kind of maddening that it's not more specific like a tension dial. So on this machine, it is called, it's like the ABCD thing. Yeah, you have a dial for each. Yeah, I used to have one here. So it's going to be your loopers. I would just experiment. Yeah, so I feel like I haven't been wanting to play as much because you guys have been such a really great social part of my day that I haven't really craved playing with anybody. And I was playing with my friend who is a high school physics teacher. And last night, because he was like, hey, do you want to play together? And I was like, okay, sure. And so we were playing. And then we were quiet. Like, for most of it, we were really, really quiet. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm being really quiet and antisocial because I'm really focused. Because he was grading some papers while I was playing. So it's the same thing, Jan. Like, sometimes we'll do that with each other. We'll just hang out in a chat and do that. It's kind of fun. And I was like, oh, dude, it's totally fine. I'm just kind of in my own world looking at these screens and stuff like that, too. So I'm pressing. Oh, there we go. I wasn't pressing. So I am using my technique. Am I using my technique? This is the back sleeve. So lining up my double notches to each other. Raglans don't have easing. They're really great a raglan is a sleeve where the armhole has a diagonal seam to the neckline, right? So it doesn't have you don't have a shoulder seam on your bodice, and you don't have a set-in armhole seam. Now, you guys will know if I were to write a singles ad trying to woo a garment into my life, number one would be they'd have to have a set-in sleeve, because that's what makes my heart go pitter-pat, especially fitting-wise. In knits, it's not so essential, right? It's like they're pretty forgiving and they're really comfortable. Raglans are great also because they get the line of abrasion, like the seam line here, this out of your shoulder. So here would be the shoulder seam and here would be the sleeve seam. Nope, sorry, this is the sleeve, sorry. This is the back, sorry. So this is the armhole, right? So usually the garment would come up right here, and then here would be your shoulder seam. And so these two seams are gone right here. This would be the armhole. This is like the cap of the sleeve down here, and this is all the shoulder area. And so this is what's really great for activewear, because you can put a backpack on. It's really great for paddlers because they have to wear a life jacket, and a lot of times raglans sometimes have the distinction, people think, of having more range of motion, but that's actually not true. And I could probably get in a pretty heated argument with someone about it, because it's just not. It seems like they have better range of motion, but they kind of don't, because you can't lift your arm up any higher. The whole garment comes up. It just feels like you have more range of motion because they're so nice and comfy. So yeah, like drop shoulder tops and hoodies, those are really great too for a range of motion, but it's also not a very fitted garment. You have to have it kind of loose for drop shoulders. So they just have their pluses and minuses just like all sleeves, but they're a really great beginning sleeve if you're kind of a beginning sewer and you're like, okay, I'm done doing all these sleeveless garments. I really want to step it up and get into something with a sleeve on it. Try a raglan, you know? But honestly, there's so many indie patterns don't have set-in sleeves. So you can do something like that Mellow Low or the Cali shirt dress. Those are, you know, it has a shoulder seam, but not a set-in sleeve. It's just like all in one here. So there's lots of controversy over how you would call that. You could call that the kimono sleeve block, because that's what you're taught in pattern drafting and design school. It's called a kimono block. You know, it's not they didn't consider cultural appropriation when they named it that. It's been around since like the 30s. So people are trying to come up with another name for it. It's not really sticking yet. Like, they haven't come up with anything that's caught on, unfortunately. So anytime you see something that doesn't have a armhole seam, is a lot easier to set in, but you're compromising fit. The Mellow Low is great because it's really short. If it's a really short sleeve, you're not going to really notice any fit issues. The problem with also kimonos is that the whole shirt can do this, can go back. It wants to shift back because it doesn't have any shoulder slope. Your shoulders aren't straight across, and those patterns, the shoulders go straight across, right? So you're losing the shoulder slope. You need this slope because that's how your body's built. Yeah, right, Lisa? Yeah. Baseball t-shirts. I love baseball t-shirts, Megan. I kind of want to make one of those with this pattern, like contrast sleeves. The vintage pattern should have you cut the darts down. Oh, yeah, that's true. There's advantages to that. It cuts down on the bulk. Yeah. Oh, wait, I want to sew this consistently. I'm trying to think how I press my seams on a raglan, and I actually can't think of how I do it on my armhole. Like, typically I always press my armhole seams towards the sleeve. That's what you would do on the cap, right? Why is this not lined up very well? These are two different weights, by the way. This is a pretty heavy, I want to say it's a rib. I think it is. But it's yarn dye, so the stripe goes all the way through, which is really fun, and it's the same front and back. And these, by the way, are fabrics sponsored by my local fabric store. You got a cool Harry Potter one? I have a cool Harry Potter one too. I got it in a box, like one of those subscription boxes, or someone gave it to me. so now we have our, I don't know, you guys, I like the stripe with this. This is kind of cute. So now I'm gonna put the front to the sleeves. Sorry if I'm not doing this in the same order. I keep doing these seams on the body side so that I always know, but it's not as critical on Raglan. You're gonna know what the sleeve is and what the body is, especially if it's contrast, right? And but like I was saying earlier, I really like being consistent on what side of my garment is facing up, so that the nice side of the stitching, or whatever side of the stitching you pick, then you know where you're at. Yeah, I know, Gina, huh? It's kind of cute. They have plenty of both these fabrics. I kind of want some of this to make like maybe a dress. Or I just saw they have a lot of, they've got some new knits in there, and they're like a polo shirt, like a PK. But it's a little heavier. Kind of hard to know what thread color to pick, because I do plan on pushing my seam towards the sleeve. That's why I went with the light gray. If I were going towards this way, maybe I would have wanted the black. See that, Nancy? You see that little stitch pulling up there? That's not really okay. If I loosened it a little bit, this line right here that's going through would be more lined up with the holes. It's a little tight. Like I said, it's a little tight, and I have a feeling it's because I have two different weight fabrics that I'm sewing together. The machine's going to be a little bit like, yo, what up, you know? So now I'm getting this nice spiral of unicorns and stripes. Just connecting them in a nice big circle. No set-in sleeves. So easy, huh? Yeah, with like the swoopy hem, Megan, that'd be cute. You should totally copy it, Lisa. It's cute, huh? I kind of want one too. It's pretty cute. Oh, I meant to look at that. I looked at that sweatshirt dress, Megan. They didn't make one with a hoodie on it, but I forgot to look at the pattern to see if it had that option. I noticed it and I was gonna go over there, and then someone was like, Jeremy, what do you need? You know, about 6 people asked me that yesterday. They were so nice. All right, so now I'm gonna do the underarm, and because we already hemmed this, I'm gonna definitely do it from the bottom up, because I want this to line up, right? There's no backsies here. I have to get this to line up, and it's pretty thick. And so I think what a good idea would be is to put a little like stitch here with my regular machine, just so I know it's gonna stay lined up. Just cheat a little bit there, so you're setting yourself up to succeed. Oh, it's already on? Well, that's bold of me. I've been a little nervous that I was going to accidentally step on this presser foot, because that's what I want to do. Ooh, sorry guys. This stitch is blue, so we won't be able to miss it. So let's just do that. Oh, look at that. Look what I just did. Oops. You don't know if you want a hood on a sweatshirt dress? Okay, well, I'll look up that pattern for you. It's cute. It's got cute pockets. So you don't want to sew your front in a tube like that. There we go. This is cute. It looks cropped and very wide. I'm going to line this up even better. What's the point if I don't do it nice, right? I don't mind doing it in this contrast thread, because I actually would like to be able to remove this thread, and I'll be able to see it better. You were thinking that looked wrong. I didn't even notice the other side, Lisa. Isn't that funny? All right. So funny. I still need to repair this little spot right here. But because I am doing this kind of in a backwards order where I'm sewing through my side seam to the hem, which I really don't like doing usually. Once it's serged, I'll put the proper thread color in my single needle machine, and I'll probably press the seam one direction and make it as flat as possible and try and even this up as best I can there so it looks a little less like I did that. It's a nice cheating way to do that if you're kind of nervous about armholes or things lining up, or like you're dealing with a cover stitch woes like I've been doing. But at the same time, typically I like to do my hems in a circle. This is not caught in this cover stitch, so I'm going to leave this little edge here. All right, so let's see here. And we just go straight down the underarm. Now, here is your issue when you have two different colors. Mine is going to be, yeah, so let me back up here a second. Now, you guys, I think, like, personally, I think the better way to have sewn this would have been to sew the sleeve, underarm together first. Don't attach it to the garment, only because the fabric is such a different color. That's what I would think would look nicer, right? So if I had done that, I could have done this in black and then attached it, the sleeve, the proper way, because you can just do a nice continuous loop. It's not setting in a sleeve still because it's open at the neckline. You would just have this nice U, whoop, and you would have black thread on the underarm and gray thread on the side seam here. Right? You know what I mean, jelly beans? That would be nicer. Now I'm thinking what I'll do afterward is I don't know. I kind of want to take it out to do that, but I hate taking out the serging. So, what do you guys think? I could just, doing a thread change just takes a second, right? Yeah, let's do it. You guys okay with that? I'm just going to do the underarms. We're going to do this in a crazy order. It looks okay. I don't know. All right. I'm all in now. Should have thought that through. This is the thing when you have drastically different colors with your serging. You do have to do a little bit of back and forth. It's sometimes why you see weird color choices in ready-to-wear things. But at the same time, you guys, with ready-to-wear, they have machines set up all over the factory. They're not going back and forth, but if they have to, they will charge you for that. Like I had a couple of my products were back and forth, and they were like, "This is a back and forth for us." You know, it just depends on how they have their factory set up. So then, getting to know what is a back and forth for them. It's not like it's one person sitting down and sewing on one machine and going and then like changing the thread. That's not a back and forth. It's more that they're like, okay, I would have to stop here and go back to the machine with black thread on it to continue this spot. Where's my thread? That's what I'm talking about. Oh dang, I got this to the wrong one. I just want the black to be on the underarm because when you pull apart the seam, like when the seam pulls, you'll be able to see it on the outside. Maybe I'm not being clear about that. What am I missing here? Oh, you're going here. Okay. I kind of distracted myself there too much. One at a time. All right, you go here. Yeah, so because this is someone else's sample, we're going to do this sort of the proper way. I'm already cheating on the side seam, you guys. But, you know, we cheat a little bit. I cheat a lot. You guys know that. You two are fine. You my friend, are going here. When you change your thread, you gotta have your presser foot up so that the tension discs are released. It's easy to forget, and you'll be like, why is mine so tight? It's just probably because your presser foot's not up. And then raise your needles too. Like now that I'm threading my needles, I'm gonna lower my presser foot so I have more room to move my fingers right here. I have enough slack in my thread, you know, so. So what I think I'll do is the underarm seam on the sleeve. I'll do the cuffs, and then we're gonna finish off in the light gray. So this is kind of a backwards thing. All right, so let's get rid of a little bit of stitching here, just a little bit. I've never, ever, ever been able to find my chain stitch, and I think because some of these stitches aren't set up where you can just pop one and then just unravel it, you know, like sergers are kind of famous for. Not all stitches will do that. So it's when I've worked in factories and like with people, and you have to take apart something and you're like, ooh, I found that chain stitch, and everyone's like, yay. everyone loves it. It's easier to find on that safety stitch because that is a true chain stitch. But on these serging things, you know, it's like, have you guys ever bought feed at the feed store, like for your chickens or your dog or whatever, and it's in those bags with the stitching across? Those, you know, those are always funny because you have to be able to find the chain stitch. And I just love the fact that farmers and ag people everywhere are better at finding the chain stitch thread than I am half the time, you know? All right, so we just released this little bit, this little edge right here. All right, right sides together. I'm gonna try to match my stripes here. Didn't think about this ahead. I was more concerned about my cover stitch. So now we have our matching black thread on this underarm. Did I cut my sleeves 2 at a time? I might have, huh? Yeah, your birdseed. Birdseed's another one. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, and sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. And 2, do this one in black as well. All right, let's get a little bit, just enough. I used to have to plan this so thoughtfully with my clients because I couldn't have just like gone back and forth, you know? It's fleece. I have made market bags with feed sacks. It was kind of fun. I don't think I ended up selling a single one though. Yeah, there was a time when I was getting feed sacks that were kind of like a plastic material. And I hated throwing them away. So, yeah. Then they were cute too. They had like full color pictures and graphics on them. They were really cute. My stripes are a little bit off. See that? Wait, there we go. I thought that one was off. You could be really meticulous about matching your stripes if you like. It's a good idea, but on your underarm with that angle, it's really tricky sometimes to know where the seam line's going to be. And remember, it's on your underarm. So, should you make a bag? Yeah. Yeah, they're great for shopping. I know, totally. They're strong. I ended up giving them away. People were really happy. Yeah, chicken food comes in some of those. That's where I was getting it. When I was raising meat chickens, we were buying a ton, literally a ton of grain. We were buying enough that we could get a pallet or a couple pallets, but we weren't buying enough we were getting it special milled, and they wouldn't put it in a tote. They would only bag it. Tote is like a whole thing. One time we got the tote, and the tote ended up being a problem. So we just stuck with bagged. It's easier to keep it predator free that way. All right, let's see how I did. Yeah, the stripes went pretty good. All right, so let's put on our cuffs because we got the black on. So I'm gonna sew them right sides together. And I'm gonna do my neckband too. Here's my wee neckband here. It's so cute. Yeah, I quit with the plastic, I know. Yeah, my because of where my husband works, we're very keenly try to not use plastics. I shouldn't say it's because of where he works. We would do that anyway, but where he works is hyper aware of it because they're a plastic-free product. So. Because of me? What do you mean? All right, so we have our neckband. We have our cuffs. So you fold, once you have serged your cuff in the circle, with the short ends together, right sides together, then you're gonna fold it wrong sides together to make your little cuff, just like you'd wear it. It looks like I have a cut in my fabric right there. That's unfortunate. We didn't notice that, did we? So the cuff seam can be really thick. It's up to you if you want to stagger your seams so that one pushes one way and one pushes the other. The problem with this is it'll be twisted on the inside, and I feel like a lot of us feel cuffs that are kind of twisted sometimes. I wish this side looked better. This side looks a little better, matching wise. Just lining up my edge there, playing around with it. I'm gonna fold it in half and find the center. Why not, right? Set ourselves up to succeed. And then I'm gonna do the same on my sleeves. Fold it in half, find the center right here. Really shallow, because remember your seam allowance is really tiny. Let's do the other sleeve. And I'm going to trim that so that the stripe matches as well. Yeah, I am. I'm going to do that so it has the optical illusion of looking straight, because it would look crooked if not. You know what I mean? You got That's awesome. I feel that way too sometimes. I mean, definitely doing all the hearts things too makes me want their fabrics even more. So I think I decided for my jackrabbit pants for my reunion that I'm going to make one of those butterfly blouses and make it out of like a cream or off-white or white, like mostly a white rayon, solid, I hope. Okay, so now we have our cuffs. This one looks a little better. You're going to insert it inside your sleeve. And you don't want to use pins for this because your pins can be a problem with your serger. This isn't going to stretch much. Like, it's pretty easy, so you're not going to have to worry about it. So I would start just behind your seam there so that you can kind of approach it, gear up to getting to it because of the thickness. Some sergers are better at dealing with thickness than others. Line up all your center marks. And then I just line up with my original start and then serge off. So when you're doing these circles like this with your serger, so when you started, you went onto the fabric like this, right? So your serging kind of goes on at an angle a little bit. And then when you approach it, you want to even that out. So don't just go right to where you started. Go a little bit past so that you have a nice straight line where your serging is. It'll probably show up better on the neckband because the neckband's black to light gray. What fabric do I want from Hearts? I liked that butterfly a lot. And then the viscous linen noil that we did with the dress number 2, I like that. Louise, I'm making jackrabbit pants. You want to see the fabric? That's pretty great, isn't it? My high school reunion, my colors are Kelly green and white. And this is a Kelly green. It's better in person. And then our school mascot was a jackrabbit. So I'm gonna make some pants. I think I might try the Sasha trousers. I don't know. It's not stretched, so I'm not gonna use my ginger jeans pattern. So I know they're cute, isn't it? I think that fabric bled on those as well, but it's not as detrimental to the fabric look. I'm only trimming this not because it's not straight, but because it'll look straighter if I get rid of this line here. It's so little that you might as well on this stripe, you know? So yeah, so they're jackrabbit fabric made into pants. And then that white butterfly blouse by Decades of Style. Oh, it is, Malin? Dang it. It is. It's a trouser pattern made for stretch. What the heck? I'm going to trim my cuff right here because, look, I have a little bit of misalignment here. And I'm going to try and... this is kind of a bummer. I'm just going to trim it a little because of that cut I have into that too. Well, maybe I'll try the ash jeans we're making next week. You've seen it in gray? Ooh. I don't remember if I saw it in gray. I only had eyes for green. I also think like if I could find a white fabric that has a really tiny sporadic, like a little tiny green polka dot everywhere, you know? Hi, Sam. Thanks. I know. It's pretty cute, isn't it? I got that from Stone Mountain and Daughter. It's a Rifle Paper Company print. So I'm pretty sure it means it's cotton and steel. So see, here's my serging. I don't know if you can see it. So it's at an angle, right? So it looks like I went onto the fabric right here. It's at an angle like this. So when I'm coming with my serger, I want to straighten, make sure I catch it where it's in the seam so that it's straight all the way around and not like this. Yeah, they do, don't they? All right. You see that? I just pull one thread, then I pull it till it tightens. That's my method. I'm not too crazy about it. All right, so now we have sleeves with cuffs. Should we look at them? Let's see. I left my side seams open because I'm switching between thread colors. Here's my cuff. Pretty cute. It's a pretty close fitting sleeve. It sold out before you could get it. Well, that's a bummer. Oh, the gray. You might try Stone Mountain and Daughter Louise, but I know shipping to the UK might be a little more than what you'd like to deal with, huh? Okay, we're gonna do the neckband, which is very skinny. Look at that stripe matching. Yeah. Whoops, I almost put that right sides together. Don't do that. Look at that stripe matching. Isn't that pretty good? I don't know if I had that on camera. All right, so we're gonna fold it wrong sides together. And actually let's notch. All right, so this is a kind of a quirk about me. I am going to, I don't even know why I notched my center front, my center back, because honestly, I don't use it for neckbands. This is one of my little quirks. I don't like putting the seam of the neckband right at the center back right there. So I like to put it at like a shoulder seam or an armhole seam so that it just kind of just seamlessly blends in. But it does mean that you don't have the same center, like halfway point as a guide. So this is what I'll do. Let's see here. Let's put my goofy little label on here so we don't forget. I'm gonna top stitch that on there. Which one's the front? This is the back. Okay, right? Making sure. Yeah, so this is the back. So I'm gonna top stitch my label. That center notch is helpful for me for at least for that. I'm just gonna stick it in there. And I'm gonna tack it on just so I make sure I don't forget it. And I don't have to deal with keeping it straight and all that. It's so thick because apparently I require lots of colors that it tends to get a little bit crooked. So I'm just gonna tack that there. Now I know that's the back, and we're gonna put our neckband to one of these two seams here where the sleeve attaches. So I'll just pick this one here, and let's see, we'll just mark it so I remember that's where I'm gonna put my neckband. And then I'm going to fold my neckband in half really carefully. Let's put all the weight. I have this thread coming from my bobbins in my drawer right here. Go away. There we go. All right, so I'm just reminding myself with this clip that that's the seam I designated to myself to sew the neckband seam to. And now I'm going to fold this neckline really carefully without stretching it. I'm not going to line anything up. I'm just folding it so that I can find a halfway point for my neckband. So I have a guide. It would be nice to have a guide like at every one of these seams. Okay, so that's almost perfectly right there. So we'll just put it like that, okay? I'm not gonna notch my seam. So it'd be nice to have a notch on your neckband for every seam, but the thing is, figuring out that percentage of stretch to match to your seams would be a little bit too much work for us to do for one little project. They do this in the factories though. They will have more than one spot. Ah, no worries, Polly. Welcome back. But the other issue is putting these little like these little guides in here. You don't want a ton of those because it does weaken your fabric and it will end up pulling apart right there, which kind of distorts where the stretch really is happening. So you kind of just want to keep it, you know, leave it alone. I'm going to try and keep my seam pressed one direction, but it does feel really thick. So we'll see. And you're just going to serge this on. I'm going to do it from the neckband side. Because of that thickness though, let's put the seam like right kind of next to it like that. It's pretty hidden because it's so dark. Let's start a little bit back here on the neck. You don't really want to sew your neckband in half like as a stay stitch because you'd have to, you would pop that stitching unless it was a chain stitch. So in other words, you don't really want to sew this together like base stitch shut first. You're just gonna have to deal, you guys. You got this. Yeah, so you are gonna have to stretch a little bit, but it should be fine, Megan. We figured out our stretch, remember? I'm a little more worried about the thicknesses right here that I'm about to go over. Because I don't like it when it pushes my seam. So one thing that's nice also about this little notch that I have is that I can lay my neckband on top of the notch and keep it so that I'm not getting any torquing, you know? All right. Come on. Did I break both my threads? I think I broke both my threads. I think I did. Yeah. Yeah, that was just too thick. I kind of knew that. I was pushing it. That was too many seams right there with the thread in them, so my bad. It's not an industrial serger. Ooh, those things so nice. It's going pretty good, Polly. I've been able to get it to work. And I've already cover stitched the Moneda dress, and I already cover stitched the hems of this so that I wouldn't have to change color. I'm only going to get through one Linden today though, just because I've been really taking my time with it. And now I'm sewing it kind of in this crazy order. Ah, thanks for following Surica. I can't see it because it's like this faint blue writing. Surica 8. On Twitch, no less. Yay, Twitch. I'm talking to people on YouTube if you're watching right now. I'm sure they all say hi to you. What store do you love? Oh, Costco. I don't have a membership there anymore. All right, so now we're good. I'm just gonna keep going. All right, so now that I've got a few stitches in there, I'm going to take my neckband and take this little center notch at my halfway point of my neckband. I'm gonna line it up to the seam. I'm gonna see, how much do I need to stretch this? A little bit, right? So now let's find another halfway point with the stretched neckband to the neck like this and hold it, just like that. And try and keep all 3 layers lined up. Pushing my seam towards my sleeve. Let's hope it stays like that. And now I'm kind of to that halfway point, and now I'm gonna put another one. So I just keep breaking it up in half over and over again. You don't want to use pins. You also don't want to stretch your work under the needle so that you're not pulling on those needles, you know. All right, so we're almost to the official halfway. Push the seam towards the sleeve. Got our little V right there. You really want to work on your best work so that you get your best distribution of stretch over the neckband. You can't find sweatshirt fleece, Lisa? That's a great question. I don't actually know anybody who specializes in it, but I will say that I noticed on the Grainline Studio website in their Linden, like if you search for information about sewing the Linden, like in their blog area or just on their website, she got a question. She was like, you know, a lot of people are asking me where I get rib knits and things like that, and she created a long list of suppliers all over the world. Australia, the United Kingdom, everywhere. She didn't like order from all of them, and she says that, but you might look at that and find someone close to you. All right, so remember, I'm just like finding halfway points, stretching the neckband, not the garment, just the neckband like this. The neckband's staying so nice and lined up with itself. Like even I'm kind of marveling on that, you know? Yeah, Google it, you will, it's true. So this is what I mean by these edges are staying really nice and lined up. I can't help but think that's probably because this is a yarn dyed knit, and so cutting it on the stripe really helped to keep it perfectly on grain. And because this rib is a double knit, so that it looks the same on both front and back. My tag is getting wonky, people. I think that helps too. There's no curling. So you see how my fleece wasn't quite lined up with the edge right there? It's kind of giving me a problem. So the best thing you do would just be pull out a few of these stitches right here, like this, so I can get my sweatshirt fleece lined up with the edge there again, like this. So I don't get any puckers. You don't want to get any puckers. There's just not a lot of forgiveness in these little narrow, you know, pieces and patterns like this. Let's just try and get rid of some of all this thread here. We don't need to immortalize it in our neckband. Yeah, get rid of this. We're going to get rid of that little majiggy there. Now, this was my trouble spot going over this beginning seam with the thickness of the neckband and the armhole. Yeah, so sweatshirt fleece is brushed French terry. Polar fleece, you get polar fleece for finished kids' clothes. Okay, so make sure you put fabric, like sweatshirt fleece fabric. Definitely places like Hearts Fabric, Stone Mountain and Daughter, the Rain Shed had some, and then I know like the big stores like fabric.com, you know. Yeah, and Joann Fabrics will have it. And remember, like now they're going to start getting, I think Blackbird Fabrics has it and they're in Canada. I can't remember where you are, Lisa. But they're going to start having more fall fabrics soon, so you might have better luck soon, you know. Let's see if I can get past this spot again. I think I did it. Yeah. So it kind of helps that I'd already sewn that little bit. So here's my little neckband. It's pretty narrow. I don't really like that it might want to flip to the outside. So the way to remedy that is the cover stitch. So your seam is going to push towards the neckband, kind of. It was going to want to. but you kind of want to push it towards the body. My little label's kind of distracting, isn't it? And these thicknesses there. Maybe I should put the label somewhere else, but it is pretty cute. All right, so let's put the gray. So right now this is what we have. So there's our neckband there. Try not to look at the inside. It looks better when you just see the outside. Let's cinch this up right here, clean it up a little bit. That was the start stop right there. I like the contrast though. It looks pretty cute. You're in Wisconsin. Yeah, right? The baby and kid thing. I know. God, I'm trying to think. I have a friend that was sewing a bunch of knits last year. I wonder where she was getting it. She has a pretty good selection where she lives. I think she went to fabric.com for part of it. Or wait, no, Fabric Depot. That's where she was going. Mainly because that is in her town. So she can order online, but she can also order in person or shop in person too. Sorry, my hands are in the way. One at a time this time so I don't get lost in my threads here. Yeah, you'd think they'd have it in Wisconsin though, huh, world peas? It's chilly there too. Do you have access to good like outdoor fabrics there, world peas? You have a lot of outdoorsy people there, and there's a lot of people that go to Colorado to train because it's at altitude. That's where I worked at the fitness apparel company. It was easier for me to find triathletes there than the other sports I needed. Kind of funny, huh? Man, being a triathlete in Colorado is hardcore. Press it down, needles up. Let's thread these things. Yeah, first try. Give me a cookie. All right, I think we're on our last seam, right? This oddly looks kind of masculine to me, but it's got unicorns on it too, so, you know. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to serge my side seam here, because remember I decided to take out a little bit of my armhole to make it so that my underarm had black thread because I was feeling a little bad about that, putting gray thread on there. So I'm gonna do my side seam here, and then I'm gonna have to go back and do this armhole seam like this. Ah, you work for a company that owns ski resorts. Oh. You have a lot of outdoorsy people there. But it is kind of funny. You can work at companies like that that are meant for outdoorsy stuff, and then people are, not everybody does the sport. Like I worked at at Kokatat Water Sportswear, and I wasn't a paddler. I mean, I tried it a few times. It was great. My husband has been a paddler. We still have kayaks. My daughter even has a kayak. A glass one, like fiberglass. All right, here we go. This is kind of thick because of my hem. I'm actually going to start from the top. I'm not worried about pressing my seam allowances one way or the other right now because that ship has sailed, right? We're way past that. We're not going to be concerned with that. This wasn't a great project to kind of showcase that little tip. It would have been better on the Moneda had I remembered I like to do that. Come on, get under there. There we go. This doesn't even look that lined up. I'm going to take out a little bit. I really want this to be lined up. Yo. You see me always trying to grab this part, and it's because I don't want it flipping back up into the seam, because I think this is because my machine can be converted to cover stitch, and I can switch out this piece to a little table when the knife is dropped. This is getting a little loose, so I get a little gap between my knife and this cover, because this isn't all one, right? And that means that little bits can slip between the gap and the knife, the gap of the cover and the knife, and then it pulls into the seam and you get a big old hot mess, you know? So that looks pretty good. So let's remove the baby seam here that I made so nobody knows. It's nice that it's blue. There it is. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to go back and stitch this like this, the tail in there, and then press the seam one way. That's a little bit of a factory technique. That's when you want to fake it. All right, let's do our other underarm seam. Side seam. Starting at the top of the underarm, so I don't, because I'm going through my hems. Lots of ways to sew one of these, right? I'm leaving a tail so that I can pull up that thread. I'll show you why. I'm getting rid of my little baby basting. Okay, so if I were to just clip this, right, it would start coming undone eventually. So I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna do my underarm real quick and then switch my machine over to the gray and we'll finish it off and make it look nice. I might hazard doing the cover stitch on the neckline, but I don't feel like my machine is too friendly to that idea. I'd really love to do that though. All right. This is the front. So I'm pressing the seam towards the back, but I'm not going to do that. Actually, I'm going to split it. The seam goes one way. The seam goes two different ways so that it reduces the bulk right here. Get all these little threads in there. And also try not to cut the threads of the serging with the blade. So it didn't get quite on there at first. Nice to cinch that up a little bit. Here we go. I want to refine my knit sewing techniques. I feel like they've come a long way what you can do now, and the resources are really great, and people who really delved into them and spent a lot of time working on them, especially for home sewing. Wouldn't it have been nice if I'd done that in the proper order? I wouldn't have these little tails. All right. Hello, Phoenix. The machine I'd much rather be sewing on. I just grabbed myself right there. And I'm going to steal this cone of thread right here. So tomorrow, you guys, we're doing pattern drafting. Are you excited? I am. You know me. I really love the pattern drafting stuff. I haven't gotten a single request via email or Instagram on what you guys want to see. So you're going to leave it all up to me, aren't you? So let's see. Tomorrow, let's see. We're going to do... Dang, I have a lot of gray bobbins. Let's see, is tomorrow the altering, and then Saturday is copying a garment. So tomorrow we're going to alter, right? That's what it is. Your garment. Like say you want a sleeveless to have a sleeve, or sleeve, or vice versa. Or say you want to add facings or change to princess lines or something like that. We're going to do things like that. All right, so now I'm going to doctor a little bit of this. I'm going to make sure this transition is nice, and that one actually is the fine one. That's fine. It's the other one. Let's see, is it fine or not? Yeah, so right here, I didn't get it quite straight on this seam, so I'm just going to blend this in. This isn't a stretch stitch, but this little bit is not going to make a difference. I'm just blending it in, making sure I have a nice, smooth seam right there. Otherwise, it would be like a pucker on the outside. Sleeve lengths and maybe changing necklines. What would you like to change your neckline to? All right, so then we have this little tail, and this is the back right here. So what we're going to do is, this is what I like. I like to cut this tail a little bit shorter, and I pull it into the seam allowance right there, and then I push it there like that, and then we're just going to stitch it down. We just made like a little seam sandwich there. You'll see some of your shirts have these. Just like that. I'm going to cut this little bit of gray fleece right here because it's not in serging. Make it look a little nicer. My hem, however, is not the same front and back. So look at that. This seam lines up, but here's my seam right here that I need to fill in. So my hem's not going to match. Hee hee. Hilarious. But I want to secure it. So we secured it now. It looks a lot better on the inside now, except for all this uneven crap. I did not stitch in the ditch. I'm going to get rid of this swoop because remember we lost our swoop of our hemline. No, what I did was I secured my seam allowance. So there's the seam right there. Stitching in the ditch wouldn't have secured the seam allowance, and so see this right here, because I feel like I've explained this a few times, so I'm really sorry, and then I'm going to repeat this, but it's kind of subtle what I'm talking about, so I just want to make sure it's clear. I don't ever usually hem my garment before doing this seam right here, and this is exactly why. This is a budget technique. It's okay if you guys want to do that. I'm not putting it down, but it's not the way, it's not the greatest demonstration of sewing knits. It's just a much easier, faster way depending on your machine setup, right? And because I've been having a little bit of tricksiness with this cover stitch and it was already set up, and I knew I had thread changes coming up, I decided, you know what? Let's just do it the way a factory would, right? So we hemmed the front and the back first, and then we did our side seam. But then it leaves this. So this little tail of serging, if you were just to clip this, your serging would start coming out right there because this isn't a lock stitch. So what I like to do is I just imitate what they do in the factories. I'm just looking for the back. So this is the back of my garment, and I'm just kind of securing this tail in here and then folding it in like that. So I'm just cutting it a little shorter, kind of the hem length right there. Put it in there. And you can even stitch this down first, like right now, to secure it, to make sure, because you're in your seam allowance like this. So just run a little line of stitching there. No one's going to see that because it's in the seam allowance. Get rid of all your little threads. And now push it, get rid of this thread too, my start thread. Push it to the back, whichever way you want. And then that's what I'm doing, Sam. Yeah, you get it. And then I'm going to stitch it down to secure it. So start looking at your knits. You're going to see this on t-shirts, all kinds of stuff. They just stitch it down to secure it like that. And that's why. It's kind of a second opportunity to get your seam to line up too. All right, so let's check this out. It's all done now. I feel like, did I have something to look at my neckline? I may. Let me see. This looks so big and boxy. I say that now, and then I put things on, I'm like, damn it, it fits me. Why do I think that looks huge if it fits me? All right. Let's try it. What size was this, you guys? A little large. That's cute. It's kind of not huge and boxy. I don't have the waistband on. So if you weren't going to put your waistband on, you could lengthen it if you wanted to not lose the height of it. What I noticed this in a lot of pictures is the neckline's pretty far away from the neck. So if you want to do a turtleneck, which I know one of you does, I think it's Barbara, you're going to have to bring the neckline much closer. So cozy, absolutely. And then the sleeves are cuffed. Yeah, it's pretty cute. So, sew buttons on your underwear. So you could now, if you've tamed the beast of your cover stitch, you could cover stitch this right here and just split it. One needle on the collar, one needle on the body, and you go all the way around. I am going to try this probably on some scrap fabric. I don't think I'm going to do that. It looks like bats from far away. I love it. Yeah, so they say that you can actually just stitch this down with your regular machine, like on the body. And you can, because it doesn't really need to stretch because the neckline's so big. I'm not sure I'm going to do that. But if you have a stretch stitch, you could do that on your home machine. Kind of bugs me that my label's pushing this up. But maybe what I could do is I could put some black thread and tack the label, tack it in the seam allowance like this. I just don't want it to start doing that. You could tack the label down, but it would show on the outside, which people do. You see it. It does look like bats. So this is all, these are fabrics from a local fabric store, Honey Run Quilters. They don't have a website where they sell fabrics, but you can give them a call and they will totally happily take phone orders. And it is super cozy and soft, the fleece. It's got a nice pile. Let's look it over and see if there's anything else we want to touch up since we're doing the single needle, but the Raglan's really fun. And then I made a pocket for my other one. And this is my pattern piece. So the center waist right here. And then this would be the pocket opening. You can see that this is the hem shape. I've shown you how I do this, and I'll probably show you again tomorrow. But if you don't feel confident drawing it out the way I do, you can just fold the paper back on itself and then cut it, and then you'll get this shape, because you need it to be able to hem the opening so that this gets caught in there. Because if you just do it straight, right, you're not going to catch your hem in the seam right here, unless you have a really huge seam right here like this, then you will, right? But this is my kangaroo pocket that I added on my other one. Let's see what it measures. Let's see, this is about 14 1/4 down here, 6 3/4 tall. This right here is like 3 3/8 right here to here. Yes, pockets is right. Yeah, that was a good idea. This right here is about 2 5/8 right here. I did about 3/4 inch hem depth right there. And how I would sew this is I would hem my pockets first. You have to do this absolutely first. Hem your pocket first, and then you're going to turn under your edge here and here and top stitch it down on your sweatshirt. You don't absolutely have to have a stretch stitch to do that. If you want that double needle look, you can use a twin needle that you can get on your home machine, you know, that because that's not stretchy, it doesn't really matter. Or you could just fake it and just do 2 rows of stitching, or just one. I was just going to do one. So stitch it on your flat, line it up with the bottom hem of your sweatshirt. And this, I made this size because that sweatshirt has a waistband. If you have a sweatshirt with a hem like the one we just made, you need to add hem allowance to that, and remember that it's going to fold up on itself and you're going to lose pocket depth. So maybe double the height of your, add double the hem width to the top, to your whole pocket. So then you line this up to the center front, stitch it down here, 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 and then put your waistband on. Just continue as normal if you want a kangaroo pocket. So yeah, right, Claire? It turned out pretty cute. Yay! These fabrics are really fun. I think it's going to be cute in the store too. I think I'll press it so that the hem stays down a little better. I'm going to trim a little bit of this edge where I wasn't very accurate with my cover stitch, and this was the front hem of this. It has this curve that I completely forgot about when I was trying to do my cover stitch. This is another good reason why you want to try and get your cover stitch as accurate as possible. Going back and trimming this off is like opens you up to risk of accidentally cutting your shirt, and I've done that before. I did it on a client's thing and I had to resew the whole damn thing. Even if it was a factory sample, I couldn't give him that. Yeah, so not bad. Cool. Yeah, that was fun. All right, you guys. Well, so if you guys, please don't hesitate to request anything. You can request it in the comments of this video. Send it to me on Instagram in a direct message. Or you can comment on an Instagram thing. I just might not, I don't see all comments. I try and see all comments, but sometimes I don't see them because I don't get notified for all of them. Or you can send me an email, sosolive@gmail.com. Hi, Karen. Yeah, you're just catching the last couple of minutes. We made a sweatshirt today. Went pretty good. Oops, over here. If you have a pattern alteration that you want to do, like I'm not talking about how do I get my jeans to be less saggy in the butt. I'm not talking about that. That's a fit issue. I'm not talking about fit issues. I'm talking about changes to your pattern, like, oh, this pattern comes with a sleeve and I want a sleeveless version, or this one has a collar and I would rather have no collar on the neckline. You know what I mean? So things like that. So focus on changes rather than fit. Oh, nice, Karen. Yeah, absolutely, guys. My pleasure. And thanks for the donation, World Peas. That was really nice of you. And if you do want to support me, I am on Patreon, So Live, and there's other ways to do little donations and things like that. You don't have to do a monthly thing, but it really helps. So I really appreciate it, and I'll see you tomorrow for doing pattern drafting changes. I hope I'm saying the schedule right, and that's what it says on Instagram. And then on Saturday, we will be doing how to copy an existing garment with a tracing wheel. And Lisa, was it you that gave me the tip that you can get one of those at Waywack? I think so. Changing the width of trouser legs. We've done that before, Malin, but I'll go over that. So just try and give me a good list so I can have the proper pattern pieces ready so I can do what you guys want. I'll have a bunch of things I'll try and do. I don't even have my list together yet, but I will. So yeah, so let's talk about that. And if you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. I haven't even looked to see how many viewers we have today. I'm sure a bunch of you guys have probably taken off. Oh, but it looks like we had about 35 people, something like that. That's awesome. Thank you. Welcome. I'm Sarami, and if you want to find any of the projects we've done and an easy way to find the links to the videos, the cutting, the sewing part 1, the sewing part 2 of any of the projects, just go to my website. It's a lot easier to find them at soso.live, and you can search by project, and they're categorized and organized so much easier than trying to find it on YouTube. So if you're like, I can't find part 2, look on there. You're welcome, you guys. Thanks so much. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific, and I'm looking forward to that. Awesome, Jan. Me too. I'm on board for it too. So cool. All right. Bye, guys.